Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Louise. I am so excited to have you here. I just wanted to basically come in here and wish you a happy new year and give you a toolkit on how to be productive in 2021. I know 2020 was not the best of years for everyone, but in 2021, if we're going to continue being in and out of lockdown, if we're going to be productive, we just kind of have to push back based on the resistance we are facing. We have to be productive. We have to continue moving forward. We cannot continue to be stagnant. So yeah, I wrote these ideas, or rather this framework to help you to be productive, to become the best version of yourself, and I really hope it helps someone in the long run. So to begin with, number one, I said, what are the things we can do to actively be productive in our lives? I'm a Christian, so the first thing I said was to dedicate the year to God. And that is you setting aside, setting time to sit, pray, and meditate on the word of God. In Jeremiah, it says, I know the plans I have for you, plans of good and not of evil. And you dedicating the year to God, you dedicating every step, is you basically saying, whatever happens, I know God's plan is for the best. And it's also, I love Psalms 37 verse 23 that says, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord and he delights in his path. It means you're walking out the plans that God has for you. And in so doing, you're able to remain productive even when things are not going the way you want them to go. Number two, take stock of the previous year. So I like to sit down and think to myself, what worked in 2020? What went well? How can I celebrate that? How can I continue doing that? Take stock and do a trajectory of the things that went well, the things that you can change. What's in your hands right now that you can change? What are you capable of changing? Can you change the narrative? If certain things are out of your control, don't worry about them. But whatever is in your control, you can take back ownership and actually start stewarding or directing it in the way you want it to go. And in so doing, you can also note some trends. There are certain things which you know you're doing well, continue with that, and certain things you know you can improve on. What areas can you then build up? What can you do to make sure that this year becomes the best year based on the things you are able to change, right? Number three, set realistic goals. I like to call them SMART objectives. So they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. By specific, I mean, if you want to get a new job, you wouldn't just say, I hope I get a new job. What kind of job are you actually hoping to get? It could be, let's say you say, I want to get a job as a project manager. So then you're thinking, what courses do I need to do? You're looking at the Prince 2 course. You're looking at how are you going to achieve that by you actually actively enrolling into the course, you talking to probably people who've done it before, you getting a mentor who can show you the ropes so that they can help steward you in the right direction, or someone holding your hand. And what time frame do you have? It can be a year, it can be 6 months, it can be 2 years. And by time bound, you can go back and alter just how quickly you want to achieve it. So if it's supposed to happen in 6 months, at the 2-month mark, you go back and you look, am I doing well? At the 4-month mark, you go back and look, am I actually doing well? At the 6-month mark, it needs to be done. So 2, 4, and 6, you're doing regular check-ins with yourself to make sure you're actually doing what you're supposed to. And also you need to then be, like I was saying, it needs to be realistic. So if you're wanting to get a job as a project manager, but you have no leadership experience, then you need to put yourself in a position where you actually have led a team before you can progress. So it's you being realistic and actually thinking, how can I set a realistic goal? Another one could be you're wanting to change your finances. You're thinking, I need to save, let's say, £10,000 by the end of the year. And you're saying to yourself, how much money do I need to save every month? You're now looking at it and thinking, how can I cut down? How can I maybe earn more? Or can I cut down on certain things in my life right now? And then if you want to do it in a year, at 3 months, you might be on target with your goals. At 6 months, things happen. It could be that you're realizing that actually something has come up, things have changed, and you can adjust. You can actually say, actually, maybe 10,000 is not going to be achievable, but maybe 7.5. And then now you are changing your time frame to get to where you want to be. There is nothing worse than actually thinking you've got a dream and you want to make it a reality, but you don't have any steps to get you to where you want to be. How are you going to get to where you want to be? You've got the output, you know what you want to achieve, but what input do you need to put in? What is in your hands right now? What can you do to get you to where you want to be? SMART objectives. Sit down with yourself, have real, honest, transparent conversations with yourself. Am I doing well? Am I actually doing what I'm supposed to? What am I investing my time in? If you know realistically that you could be doing better, then do it. There is no time time like the present, why would you wait for 7, 8, 9 years or 9 months down the line to actually say, I want to start? Why not start now? Do the small bits, lay the foundation, and continue building up from it. You are able to put in some sort of work. You're able to put in some sort of effort. Why not start now? No excuses. Start doing what you are supposed to, and make sure you are regularly going back to check in to say, am I actually doing what I said I would do? How well am I doing? If certain things need to be changed, you can always adjust and readjust, but you have to continue to go back and look at the vision board to actually see whether you are in line with where you said you wanted to be. Number 4, I believe you can overwhelm yourself by setting 1,000, targets or goals for 1 year. You need to split it. Break it down into bite-sizable chunks. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Certain goals would actually start in Q1 and might be achieved in Q4, but there are certain things you can achieve in each quarter. So in the first quarter, you might decide, I need to do something, and then you put realistic measures on how you're going to do that. In so doing, you can tick off certain things quicker because you've dedicated a small amount of time to achieving it. There is no point in you having 10,000 goals and you're trying to do the same 10,000 things every day. That is not realistic. If you've got a full-time job, you might have other commitments, you might have a business, you might have kids. You are not going to be able to touch certain things every day. I believe you need to be able to put 100% effort into maybe 3 or 4 things for a short amount of time, master them. Once you do that, you can take them off onto the next thing. The same different 3 things, master them onto the next one. So in Q1, what are you doing? In Q2, what are you doing? In Q3, what are you doing? In Q4, and then if you get to Q3 and you realize that you haven't mastered something you should have mastered in Q1, you are allowed to go back and relearn or readjust what you are supposed to be doing. Because in so doing, by the time the year ends, you have done everything and you've ticked it off in a time manageable space. Because if not, you will constantly be trying to achieve so many things at once and it gets overwhelming. If you've got too many things on your plate, you will not be able to take off everything. So be realistic with yourself. What can you do? Split your year into quarters and start ticking off certain things. And it also makes it easier if you make lists and tick them off as you go along, and it's stress-free. You then don't have this burden of constantly thinking, I have to do all these things. Make life easy for yourself. Split your work, and you will be able to achieve success much quicker because you know what you are working towards. And if something is in Q4, you're not going to touch it in Q1. Leave it until Q4, because at least you have time to just do If you finish Q1 early, well done to you. What else can you do in that time? Because what you don't want to do is to overwhelm yourself or to start something which you cannot achieve. Once Q1 is over, leave the things you were supposed to do in Q1. If you've ticked them off your list, well done. If not, where else can you slot them in to be able to achieve them? But don't overwhelm yourself in Q1 thinking, I finished it early, let me pick up certain things from other quarters. Because in so doing, you overwhelm yourself, you don't give yourself rest, and you become overworked. Allow yourself the grace to be, and the discipline. Discipline is a big part. Allow yourself the discipline to say, if it's in Q1, it remains in Q1. If it's in Q2, it remains in Q2. Don't start moving or shifting things around because you're being overzealous. Give yourself rest, have discipline, and allow yourself to be able to do things at a time manageable pace. Right? The other thing we were going to talk about, this is number 5, is learn and invest in yourself. What are you doing to actively put in effort or to put in time into yourself? I believe you can invest and learn so many things right now. We are not going out. We are not doing many things. Now is the perfect time for you to learn what is out there. You've got courses on Read, Open University, Future Learn. You can learn something and advance yourself. You can advance your career. You can do courses. You can read. Don't allow this time to put yourself like in a box and say, I already know everything. There is no such thing. There's always room for learning. There's always room for growth. So go out there. What can you acquire right now? Like I said, what's in your hands? What are you going to do with the time you have right now? I wrote this statement. I said, stop tiptoeing around success and grab opportunities. Stop tiptoeing around the idea of I want to be successful or I want things to happen. If you want things to happen, start making things happen. You are in a place, you are the driver in your life. You are in the driver's seat right now. So what are you going to do to actually make sure that what you want to achieve is going to happen? If it's a job you are looking for, right? Go on the website, go on LinkedIn and look at the person's specification. Are you that person? If not, how do you become said person? Because in so doing, you are investing time in becoming the best version of yourself. I don't see our lives as as complicated as we make them to be. If you want something, you are in a position to acquire it and you are in a position to change the narrative, right? So if you want, or if you are willing to go and learn something or go and invest, go and find a mentor who's been on the journey you want to take. Learn from them. Talk to other people who've done the same thing. Talk to people who are in senior positions. How did you get here? And then outline where exactly you want to go. What does it look like in 1 year? What does it look like in 3 years? What does it look like in 5? What does it look like in 10? Because then you're constantly then going back and seeing where you can advance and what else you can do, right? Don't make excuses for why things are not moving forward, because sometimes excuses are stories. Yes, I understand sometimes, we are not in a position to change, but if you are in a position to, why not do it? Don't always have an excuse at the tip of your tongue for why things are not going well. What can you actively do to make sure things move in the right direction? What books are you reading? What are you doing to try and develop yourself? What if it's you specializing in an area? Have you looked at any avenues? There are so many ways you can advance, so many apprenticeships and stuff. What are you actively doing right now? What are you learning and what are you investing in to make yourself the best version of yourself? Number 6, protect your mental health, your peace, and set healthy boundaries. Yes, I said it. Let your yes be a yes and your no be a no. You really do not owe anyone an excuse. You don't really need to over-explain yourself. You don't need to be overstretched. A piece of advice I would give you for free right now is you cannot be everything to everyone. It's virtually impossible for you to be this, superhero who can be in 10,000 places at the same time. You might have the grace for it, but burnout is real. So what I'm saying is setting healthy boundaries in this season is very essential. It could be you setting boundaries with social media, you setting boundaries with certain friends, and reminding them of said boundary. So if they cross it one time, you tell them actually no. If they cross it a second time, you stand firm. Don't break or don't give in because of who you used to be in the past. And don't become someone who constantly breaks their boundary, because then if you're that person, people will constantly try you. We have come to a position where so many people on social media feel as if, they're entitled to certain things. No one is entitled to know everything about your life. So you setting boundaries is you actually saying, this is what I'm giving you because this is what I feel comfortable with. When you cross said boundary, I can, remove myself from the situation, or I can take time out to actually assess and reassess how I want this boundary to look like. Think for yourself, what do you want your life to look like? Online, offline, your work life, your personal life. And when you decide this is what I want it to look like, start setting those boundaries. And you'll be so much happier because you then give in time to things you actually want to, not things people are telling you should be giving time to, not going to places you don't want to, not engaging in conversations that, leave you feeling empty, not gossiping and, spending too much time on social media. Set healthy boundaries. Protect your peace and your mental health. Protecting your mental health might look like you avoiding certain conversations, you not talking to everyone at any given opportunity, you finding closure. It might be you going to CBT, you going to therapy. If you actually need to talk about certain things, do that if you need to. Protecting your peace, it means you not engaging, like I said, in every conversation. You actually choosing yourself, your mental health, and actually saying, this is unnerving me. It might even, sometimes it's trauma. For some people, it might be certain things actually like bring you back to a place where you feel like the trauma you experienced is being, brought back to the surface. If that's the case, you can easily choose to not engage in everything. Continue to protect your peace, continue to protect your healthy boundaries, because in so doing, you are able to engage in things that actually help you to progress, not conversations or putting yourself in places where you know it's going to drain your energy. If you don't have energy, or if you don't have like peace, you're not able to then put effort into things which actually help you to grow, because you're constantly drained, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you know, your demeanor, your countenance is affected. So by all means, in 2021, protect your mental health, protect your peace, and set healthy boundaries. Number 7, be kind to yourself and set aside time for you. What do I mean by that? Give yourself grace for the things you cannot change, but also be mindful of the negative self-talk which you become used to. It's so easy for us to continue to have this negative narrative about ourselves. Certain times it's because it's what we grew up hearing, it's what's become the norm for us. You sometimes can't even take compliments. When someone says you're good at something, you'd rather shy away from that because you believe in your head you are not good enough. And that spills into your work life, into your professional life, into your friendships. You know, all these toxic thoughts, they constantly, you know, run crazy in your head. And it's not fair on yourself if you're constantly trying to grow, if you are speaking negatively to yourself. So what are you saying to yourself? What are you meditating on when no one else is around? Be mindful of the things you take in and internalize. Be mindful of the company you keep. If constantly the people around you are gossiping or, you know, ridiculing other people, that sort of thing will constantly then play on your mind. You are not able to be kind to yourself if people around you are not people who are going to help you grow. If people around you are not people who are helping you become the best version of yourself. Self-care and support is very important in this season. I remember when we were in boarding school, our headmistress, every assembly, she used to say three statements. She used to say, who am I? Where am I going? How do I get there? Do you ever sit and ask yourself, who am I? Who are you? How do you define yourself? Like, do you know who you are? Aside from what people say, do you know who you are? Where are you going? Where do you see yourself? Like I said, it might be a dream that you have, but how are you going to make it a reality? Where are you going? You need to be the one who is stewarding and driving, you know, your life. Like I said, you don't wait for opportunity to happen. You go out there and you create opportunity for yourself. How are you going to get there? How are you going to actively become the person you want to be? It's no good you just saying, I want to be this person. How are you going to actively get to where you want to be? Do not normalize things which are not normal. Don't normalize, like I said, the negative self-talk, but don't also normalize you constantly bashing yourself or people doing that for you. You are able to actually put a stop to that. You are able to say, actually, I do not appreciate the tone in which you're speaking to me. And once you start standing up for yourself, because the only person you can control is yourself. You can't control other people. You cannot control their emotions. You can control yourself. You can control your emotions. You can control your thoughts. You are not in a position to change anyone else, but you can change yourself and how you react to situations and the environments which you choose to get, you know, yourself into. And by so doing, you are choosing yourself because you're being kind to yourself. How can you say you are kind to yourself when you're constantly putting yourself through, you know, hurt? You're constantly, you know, bringing yourself down. Be kind to yourself. Speak nice things about yourself. Write affirmations. Say nice things. Take yourself out on a date. Put on a face mask. You know, relax. Do your nails. Do your hair. Take care of you. Make sure you are always in a good space if you're going to be able to help other people, because you're not able to pour into others, or you're not able to be your best self when you're constantly running on empty. So make sure you are okay within yourself. Number 8, be open to change. What do I mean by that? 2020 was a really intense year, and there's so much to be said about adaptability. Because the one thing we can always say is change is inevitable. So we are in a world that's constantly changing. I mean, look at all these apps, look at, you know, technology. The world is constantly changing. So how quickly you adapt to change determines how quickly you grow. You can sit and wallow and do whatever you're allowed to. If you're not happy about certain things, you're allowed to. But then you have to pick yourself up and say, we need to get going. You cannot continue to make excuses or continue to wallow in self-pity. Change is needed. Be able to adapt to change. It might even be in a workplace. If you're saying I want a promotion, be able to adapt to change. If you're saying I want to change the way I save, be able to adapt to change. If you're saying I want new relationships, new friendships, be able to adapt to change. Change is inevitable, and your adaptability to said change will also change your life. So you need to be able to adapt to situations and adapt quickly so that you can maneuver the change, and you need to also determine, what does change look like for you? So it might be you actually writing down the things where what change makes you feel like and how you can counteract that. So the first few weeks of change, you always face resistance. There's always a pushback. But how do you counteract that? How do you push back? How do you continue to push back and adapt to said change? Because ultimately you want to continue being productive. You want to continue moving forward, right? Number 9, be intentional with your relationships. I cannot stress this enough. You have to be intentional with the people in your life. You have to set aside time. You have to constantly check in on your friends. Be there for your friends and family. Support people. Be kind. Speak love. Speak hope. You need to be intentional in how you want your friendships to look like, how you want your relationships to look like, how you want life in general to look like. I think the word intentional is a good word because it means you're always putting in effort. You are always going back and reflecting and thinking, was I a good friend? Was I a good spouse? Was I a good sister? Was I a good daughter? How can I change? What's in my power for me to change? How can I continue to be there for the people who need me most? How can I continue to be there for my friends? What does that look like in this season, in lockdown? It might be a Zoom, it might be a phone call, it might be a letter. If you know someone it really loves letters, send them a postcard. It might be, the 5 love languages. It might be a gift. Someone you know who's been having a really tough week, you send them flowers. How can you support and be there for the people in your life? And how do you also help people and believe in them? There's so much to be said for speaking words over people's lives, because I believe, the word of God says life and death is in the power of the tongue. What you speak into people's lives, they will always remember. If you speak something negative or something bad, they will remember that and they will hold on to it. So be someone who speaks hope into people's lives, because people want to hear that sort of thing. And love is a doing word. Love in action is you actively going out for the people in your life. You can even support them, hold their hands through tough seasons. So actively be intentional with your relationships and take stock of what's going well in your relationships. If it's going well, continue. If it's not going so well, what can you do? Sit down with the people in your life, talk about, have real, transparent, authentic conversations with them. What are we doing well? How can we continue walking through this journey together, this journey called life? Because no man is an island. We do need people around us, even though I said set healthy boundaries. Yes, you need boundaries. Boundaries are essential, but you also need to be there for the people in your life. And last but not least, become the best version of yourself and enjoy the journey. What do I mean by that is you need to be able to enjoy where you are going. You need to be able to look and, sit down, smell, the flowers and actually say, wow, well done me. High five myself. I'm actually doing well. It might not always seem like you are doing well, because sometimes we compare ourselves so much to the point where what we are actually achieving, we cannot even take stock of that, because based on where everyone else is, you think you are doing nothing. Every day that you wake up is a blessing. Every day that you have a roof over your head and food on your table, that is a blessing. So the little steps that you are taking, they might not seem that big, or, they might not seem as if it's very life-changing, but really and truly, every step you are taking in becoming the best version of yourself, you need to applaud yourself. You need to give yourself grace to continue to become the best version of yourself. You need to continue to speak kind words over yourself. You need to change the way you think, the way you adapt to situations, the things you say, the things you tolerate. I am going to start doing these kind of conversations, because I believe we know these things, but sometimes you generally need a reminder to say, okay, wake up, this is what you need to be doing. And I'm going to be doing regular check-ins. So in Q1, we are going to be we talked about how to be productive. We're going to be talking about negative thought patterns. We're going to talk about leadership styles, because everyone is a leader in their own right. And that is what we're going to be talking about in Q1. How can you become the best version of yourself? How can you counteract some of the negativity that you've become so accumulated or become so accustomed to? Because in Q2, I believe you need to shake off some bad habits in Q1, and in Q2, it's all hands on deck. You are really coming like all guns blazing, because you really want to make sure you become the best version of yourself. You cannot push forward if you are still battling with certain things. So in Q1, we are going to be talking about some of the ways to get rid of some of the negativity, some of the things we've become accustomed to that are really not, godly. They are not wholesome. They are not even, they're not good standards. And in so doing, I want us to talk about realness. We want to talk about our everyday lives. How can we become the best version of ourselves? How can we become the best human? How can we become good friends, good sisters, good siblings, good sons and daughters? What does that look like? And so, every other week we are going to have, every fortnight, we're going to have a video dropping. And I really hope that these videos bless you. I hope you learn something, share with your friends and families. And 2021, we are going to be productive. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.